wannabe Islamic extremists, including this man, now behind bars. Police there say the group was planning a series of Christmas Day bombings. And in Germany, two brothers also locked up at this hour, accused of planning a deadly attack at a shopping center. Now, the newest terror fears hitting a fever pitch here at home. Expect beefed up security in major cities, including New York, Boston, and Chicago. And we are expecting a press conference soon. The Italian Interior Minister is going to announce and confirm that that man has in fact been shot. So we'll stand by and bring that to you as soon as we can. Back to you guys.
Yeah, may get more details on the circumstances. Patricia, thanks.
Some reports coming out that Italian police were actually tipped off that he was in the area, so we'll continue to follow that. Well, in the wake of growing terror threats, President-elect Trump now calling for the U.S. to beef up its nuclear arsenal, and huge news overnight. Mr. Trump giving his administration its official voice. Fox News' Garrett Tenney is in Washington with the latest. Good morning, Garrett.
Heather, good morning to you. This president-elect certainly made headlines yesterday by calling for a nuclear upgrade on Twitter, tweeting, "The United States must greatly strengthen and expand its nuclear capability until such time as the world comes to its senses regarding nukes." And Mr. Trump didn't expand on the specifics of what steps he'd like the U.S. to take or on what prompted him to speak out on the issue, but the timing is notable. It comes just one day after Mr. Trump met with his national security advisor, Mike Flynn, and a few hours after Russian President Vladimir Putin called for Russia to update its nuclear arsenal as well. It's clear, though, the president-elect is not waiting until he takes office to get involved in U.S. policy. Yesterday, hours before a planned UN Security Council vote which would have condemned Israel's controversial building of settlements in the West Bank and East Jerusalem, Mr. Trump released a statement urging the U.S. to veto that resolution. And after a phone conversation with Mr. Trump yesterday, Egypt's president announced his country was postponing the vote, which they had proposed. Back here at home, the Trump administration has also announced its communications team, naming Sean Spicer as White House press secretary. Last night on the Kelly File, Spicer said Mr. Trump plans to continue to hold the media accountable.
There's a difference between calling people out and understanding the role that the press plays in a free society. The press has a right to go out and write stories and communicate things, but I think similarly in what Donald Trump has proven, both as a candidate and now as a president-elect, is that when people are wrong, he's going to hold them accountable and he's going to correct the record.
And the transition team already has a couple of meetings scheduled for next week with some potential candidates to fill the final two spots in the cabinet, including Elsa Morano, who is being considered for Secretary of Agriculture. No rest over the holidays. Heather?
Yeah, worked through Thanksgiving, now working through Christmas.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, it is time now for Keep Talking, and this morning, the syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer doing plenty of talking, saying the president-elect is carving out his own path and letting the world know he's not afraid to buck what would be even long-standing foreign policy that's in place. Watch.
What he's saying to the world and to our own foreign policy establishment is we are not going to adhere to all the beliefs and the myths of the last 50 years, which is that more nukes are bad, less nukes are good. That is not always true, and we're not going to be pursuing nuclear reduction agreements with the Russians in the hungry way Obama did and ended up with little and perhaps making us worse off.
With President-elect Trump's plan to track Muslims hitting a major snag, the Obama administration doing away with a program that required immigrant men from Muslim nations to register with the federal government. Now, the program was formed after the 9/11 terror attacks, but has not been enforced since 2011. If Mr. Trump wants to go ahead with his plan, he will have to start from scratch.
First, President-elect Trump got Boeing's CEO to say that he'll make a cheaper Air Force One. We remember that. And now apparently trying to create some competition, setting his sights on rival Lockheed Martin and its F-35 fighter jet. Here's a tweet from Mr. Trump. Based on the tremendous cost and cost overruns of the Lockheed Martin F-35, I've asked Boeing to price out a comparable F-18 Super Hornet. Now, the F-35 program, we should point out, is the biggest weapons initiative in the history of the Pentagon.
Now to some extreme weather. The U.S. is in for a 1-2 punch as two monster storms hit right before Christmas, one slamming the west as another creeps toward the east.
The rain-slicked roads making for treacherous travel in San Diego. Police reporting more than 200 crashes, believe it or not, in less than 24 hours.
And holiday travelers feeling the effects as snow and rain, storms, all that move across the country. Delays and cancellations now piling up at airports.
Now, quite the backdrop for our senior meteorologist, Janice Dean, joining us this morning. On top of it all, of course, and looking very festive. Good morning, Janice.
This is the one time of year I get to wear this sweater and tell everyone that I am Mrs. Claus. Let's take a look at the current temperatures. 33 in Minneapolis, 39 in New York, 30 in Provo. So we've got warmer air here, but as you mentioned, a couple of storm systems that are going to cause big travel delays along the west coast in towards the central U.S., and we're going to continue to monitor this as I think we have breaking news right now. Connell, back to you.
Apologize for cutting you off. We were monitoring this out here, and we could tell that this news conference was starting. The suspect in the deadly Berlin Christmas market attack shot and killed in Italy.
Live now to the press conference with the Interior Minister of Italy. Let's listen.
Police officers, the state police officers responded, and the person that attacked our patrol was killed. The patrol was made up of, apart from the agente Morvio, Scelto Scatta, Luca, the person killed after a number of inquiries that were made under these circumstances, without any shadow of a doubt, is Anis Amri, the presumed suspect of the terrorist attack in Berlin. I was able to personally speak to Cristian Morvio, and I wished him season's greetings, and he's a very motivated young person. He's an extraordinary young person. And I thanked him for his professionalism, for the professionalism that he demonstrated, and for the professionalism that he and his colleague demonstrated. We're talking about an operation that took place at 3 in the morning in an important center in our country, and it took place in complete safety, in that the only problem was for the police officers. I transmitted the gratitude, I expressed my personal gratitude, the gratitude of the Home Office, the head of the police that also spoke to him personally, and I wished him a speedy recovery. In the next few days, I personally am going to go and hug him. And I also wished him a happy Christmas, telling him also that thanks to people such as him, the Italians will be able to have an even happier Christmas. And in the end, allow me to also thank all the security teams in our country, and Italy must be really proud of them.
All right, live news conference from Italy this morning. Marco Minniti is the Interior Minister of that country, and he's talking about the catching of a terrorist. The Berlin suspect was shot and killed. And I think the headline, from what we heard at least, the English translation from our partners at Sky News, is that without a shadow of a doubt, this was indeed the Berlin attacker that they shot and
You're
killed.
looking at his picture there, 24-year-old Anis Amir, and an officer that was involved in this shooting was also injured in the incident. We were told that Italian authorities somehow were tipped off that he was in the area. He was asked to remove his backpack to show some papers, and that's when the shooting happened. It was around 3 a.m. in the morning. The 24-year-old had used multiple different identities, had actually lived in Italy for a while, had been involved in some different arrests. He left Tunisia in 2011 following the Arab Spring. Across Europe, they were looking for him. A $105,000 reward had been offered for him. But this morning, the good news is, as you said, Colin, without a shadow of a doubt, he is now dead.
They got their guy. There was some question about previous, but this is their guy, and they say they got him. There you go.
All right. Good news for all those folks there who are certainly concerned, a terrorist on the loose. Well, the time now is about 11 minutes after the top of the hour. Ivanka Trump attacked on a plane, confronted by a man angry about the election. This morning, some new video that the tables are being turned.
You regretted it all, man? Was it a bad idea to do it in front of everyone's kids?
So what did he have to say for himself?
We'll have that plus the cross on this town's tree. So offensive they were forced to take it down. Now, this morning there's a big update on this story, and the hint would be it could be considered a Christmas miracle.
With a Fox News alert, the suspect in the deadly Berlin Christmas market attack shot dead in Italy.
Moments ago, Anis Amri was shot and killed in the police shootout. It took place in the Milan area, killed in what started as a routine traffic stop at a train station. The police were there, asked him for ID. He pulled out a gun from his backpack, we're told, and opened fire, shooting at the officers, so the police fired back. All of this taking place in the middle of the night, Italian time, about 3 a.m., from what we learned from this news conference we just watched with you live. One officer was hit, expected to be okay. Amri is believed to have spent several years in Italy before moving to Germany. So again, you might have called him the world's most wanted man, but this morning he was shot dead.
Yeah, and just to add to that, he's 24 years old. He used 6 different names, 3 different nationalities. Yep. So certainly a good thing that he has been shot and killed, and a relief to many. More on this breaking news as we get it. We have another Fox News alert for you right now. However, a disturbing attack on Ivanka Trump. She was berated on an airplane right in front of her children yesterday. The unruly passenger demanding to know why the president-elect's daughter was flying coach on what he was referring to as his flight. Yeah, his flight. Carly Shipp gives Fox News headlines 24/7 on your Sirius XM 115 radio. What happened, Carly? Carly, this was horrible, but now it's kind of being turned against him as well.
Yeah, shocking to say the least. The incident happening at New York's JFK Airport yesterday morning. Brooklyn lawyer Dan Goldstein spotting Ivanka on his JetBlue flight and went off. He reportedly started screaming, "Your father is ruining the country," while holding his own child. He went on to say, "Why is she on our flight? She should be flying private." Passengers say he was even jeering at Ivanka's children while she tried to distract them with crayons. Now, JetBlue employees swiftly moving in, tossing Goldstein's family off the flight. And this wasn't a heated moment of passion for the lawyer. An hour before his husband, Matthew Lassner, tweeting, "Ivanka and Jared at JFK Terminal 5 flying commercial. My husband chasing them down to harass them. Hashtag vanity of evil." Now, the booted couple was booked on the next flight to San Francisco. And when he had a chance to share his frustration to TMZ, they both froze up.
Can I just ask if you regretted it all, man? Was it a bad idea to do it in front of everyone's kids?
But they had plenty to say on Twitter. Lassner tweeting, "Ivanka and Jared on our flight. My husband expressed displeasure in a calm tone. JetBlue staff overheard and they kicked us off the plane." Now, JetBlue says they worried the situation could have escalated in the air. Once landing in California, Ivanka and her family were whisked away by Secret Service to a private jet bound for Hawaii. That flight was reportedly already planned and was not in response to the incident. Upcoming Trump press secretary Sean Spicer reacting to it all.
That's that's inappropriate, no matter what your feelings are towards anyone in this country. To do that to a woman who was on there with her children, I don't care what your political background is or what your thoughts are. That's not the way we as Americans need to act.
And coming up at 7:20 on Fox and Friends, comedian Thaddeus Alexander breaks down why liberals can't accept the outcome of the election. Guys?
All right, Carly.
Thank you, Carly.
Thanks a lot.
Well, once again, breaking news that we can continue to follow for you at this hour. The suspect involved in the Berlin Christmas massacre that killed 12 people, injured many others, has been shot and killed in Milan, Italy. 24-year-old Anis Amri is dead.
I think one of the questions, and we'll talk about this more when we come back, is the travel for this man in between a number of different countries, right? Crossing borders, being able to cross back and forth and get in and get out and then end up in Italy after the shootings in Berlin. How did all that come about?
Well, a lot of people questioning Angela Merkel and the open border policy, which she had already been questioned about as well, and admitted herself back in September that it was now a problem there. Used 6 different names, 3 different nationalities, had been arrested previously in Italy about 3.5 years ago for setting fire at a refugee camp. So, as you mentioned, a lot of questions.
Yep, we'll be back overseas and have more details on that breaking story here in just a few minutes.
And also over the river and through the woods to Grandma's house you might not go. A travel nightmare shaping up ahead of Christmas weekend. We are live with that. Up next.
Men's Warehouse
We are back with breaking news that we have been following for you all morning. The suspect in the deadly Berlin Christmas market attack shot dead in Italy.
So this happened, earlier today, middle of the night, Italian time, they said, I think about 3 a.m. in East Amri, and that you're looking at him on the screen. He was shot and he was killed in a shootout with the police in the Milan area. We have brand new video that's just come into the newsroom here, Heather, from the scene.
Well, Amri was killed in what we're being told was a routine traffic stop. It was at a train station. Police asked him for his ID, and that's when he pulled out a gun from his backpack, and then he just opened fire, shooting at officers. Police fired back. One officer, we were told in a news conference a short time ago, was hit, but is expected to be okay, so that's good news.
This is a guy, obviously, it is, you're right. This is a guy who was believed to have spent a number of years in Italy, and then, as we talked about before our last break, he moved around. I mean, he went to Germany, and now when the shooting took place, the shootout with the police, he was back in Italy, able to cross those borders. Some blanks still need to be filled in here, and we'll try to do that for you throughout the hour. But
yeah, and we should say that he was from Tunisia. We did not mention that. He was from Tunisia originally. He moved to Italy following the Arab Spring back in 2011. As we've said, he had multiple IDs, about 6 different names that he used, 3 different nationalities. Had been in trouble before in Italy, but they apparently had no evidence that he had been radicalized, authorities there say. About 3.5 years ago, he was arrested for setting fire at a refugee camp. And then in Germany, we're told possibly the way they were able to track him down. We still don't know how he was able to escape after he rammed that truck through the Christmas market there in Berlin. But they found some papers underneath the driver's seat. So they were able to track him from those papers. Also a cell phone that apparently they were able to track as well and see his route around the Christmas market, where he circled a couple different times before ramming the truck through.
You make the point, it does bring it up again, that how difficult these people can be to track if you don't have a trail to go on. In other words, if there's no terrorist watch list that somebody's appearing on, that you have nothing else in their past that points to something like this that may have happened, that there is not a long record, as sometimes there's not, of arrests and the like. So, yes, there's something here to go on, but not as much maybe as, in retrospect, everything looks obvious, but it's very difficult for authorities to track people like this. But they got this guy.
And as you were mentioning earlier, bringing these refugees in and the open border policy there in Germany with Angela Merkel definitely being called into question. She herself admitted back in September that it was a problem and that they were losing control.
But good police work in the end to be able to, after having some difficulty identifying who is responsible for this, be able to have to track him across those borders. It's difficult for them because their hands are tied to some extent. The local authorities are not, obviously making the laws in these situations, so they have to track somebody across international borders, essentially, and then be able to come back into Italy. And in the middle of the night at this, what started as a routine traffic stop, they're able to say, this is the guy. Yeah. He pulls out the gun, and the rest is history, and a terrorist has been killed this morning.
And then allowing refugees, allowing immigrants into the different countries, that, of course, one of the big points that President-elect Trump campaigned on. He has said, that he questioned bringing folks into this country who were from what I believe he referred to as countries where there were known terrorists coming into and out of different countries.
And, this time of year, to bring the story back to the United States, we were talking about this a little bit yesterday, but the FBI and other authorities have put out the alert, as they always do, by the way, for areas where people will be gathering for Christmas celebrations, for New Year's celebrations. And that always happens, but there seems to be, and we had some of this that Patricia was reporting on earlier this hour, an increased focus because of what happened in Berlin on Christmas markets or anything, churches, which were mentioned.
That was apparently released overnight that involved U.S. churches. So certainly a time for people to be, concerned, but still, try to celebrate the holidays and Christmas with our families and our loved ones.
Of course. All right, more coming up, 28 past the hour as we continue here, go overseas, and have more on this Berlin attacker who was killed in the Milan area.
Plus, caught on camera the moment that officers confront a potential terror suspect in Florida and the chaos that comes next.
And a dramatic rescue of a family stuck in the middle of a house fire, nail-biting moments, step by step. Friday, December 23rd, it is a Fox News alert and breaking news this morning. The Berlin terrorist has been taken down in Milan. It all comes as ISIS overnight releases a holiday hit list, and the target is said to be churches inside the United States. The breaking details on all of this just ahead.
Plus, Ivanka Trump attacked on a plane, confronted by a man angry about the election. This morning, new video of the tables being turned.
Is it a bad idea to do it in front of everyone's kids? I take it you guys are Hillary supporters?
So what did he have to say for himself?
Plus, we also have a couple of big storms, and that equals a holiday travel nightmare. Rain, ice, snow already causing trouble in the skies and on the roads. Janice Dean, of course, tracking it all. Fox and Friends First starts right now. The suspected terrorist wanted in the Berlin Christmas market massacre was shot and killed early this morning in Italy.
Now, this comes amid some brand new ISIS holiday kill list information that's been released. The target, churches right here in America.
On top of it all, Patricia Stark is here with the breaking details on both of those big stories. Patricia?
Yes, Colin and Heather, the worldwide manhunt for the terrorist accused of mowing down innocent people is over. Overnight, Anis Amri was shot and killed in a police shootout in Milan, Italy. Amri was wanted for the bloodbath in Berlin, which left 12 dead. Amri was killed in a routine traffic stop at a train station. Police asked for his ID, and that's when he pulled out a gun from a backpack and opened fire, shooting at officers. Well, police fired back. One officer was hit, but is expected to be okay. It comes as we're seeing new stunning video of the deadly attack in Berlin. You can see the truck barreling through the entrance of a Christmas market, sending terrified shoppers running for their lives. And a brand new worldwide terror fears this morning amid a new ISIS kill list, including turning U.S. churches into a bloody horror movie. The terror group releasing a list with names and addresses of thousands of churches in the U.S., Canada, France, and the Netherlands. The cold-blooded terrorists encouraging sleeper cells and lone wolves to make this holiday season a bloody one. Meantime, two massive international terror plots targeting busy areas packed with people were just stopped overnight. In Australia, 7 wannabe Islamic extremists, including this man, now behind bars. Police there say the group was planning a series of Christmas Day bombings. And in Germany, 2 brothers also locked up at this hour, accused of planning a deadly attack at a shopping center. The newest terror fears hitting a fever pitch here at home. Expect beefed up security in major cities, including New York, Boston, and Chicago. Back to you guys.
All right, Patricia, thanks.
We do have some new information, though, on the suspect who has been shot and killed in Italy. We've been saying that one officer had been shot. Now getting information that 2 officers, in fact, were shot in that incident. One of the officers was able to fire back and kill the suspect, but both of those officers expected to be okay.
Yeah, they just asked him for ID, right? And then he pulls out a gun, starts shooting, and the other officer shoots him back. Okay.
Right. We'll continue to follow it for you. Well, we are getting our first glimpse, meantime, of the tense moments between police and a potential terror suspect here at home in Florida. Deputies investigating a strange smell coming from a new Port Richey home, confronting the suspect when he suddenly attacked the officers, grabbing for one of their guns. Well, police were able to restrain the suspect before he could cause any serious harm. Officials are now investigating any ties that he might have to terrorism. Well, in the wake of growing terror threats, President-elect Trump now calling for the U.S. to beef up its nuclear arsenal. And huge news overnight, Mr. Trump giving his administration its official voice. Fox News' Garrett Tenney is in Washington with the latest. Good morning, Garrett.
Heather and Connell, good morning to you. If there was any question, it is clear that Twitter will continue to be a platform for President-elect Trump's policy announcements. Yesterday on Twitter, he called for a nuclear upgrade, tweeting, "The United States must greatly strengthen and expand its nuclear capability until such time as the world comes to its senses regarding nukes." Now, Mr. Trump didn't elaborate on what specific steps he'd like the U.S. to take or on what prompted him to speak out on the issue, but the timing is notable. It comes just one day after Mr. Trump met with his national security advisor, Michael Flynn, and a few hours after Russian President Vladimir Putin called for Russia to update its nuclear arsenal as well. It's also clear, though, the president-elect is not waiting until he takes office to get involved in U.S. policy. And yesterday, just hours before a planned UN Security Council vote, which would have condemned Israel's controversial building of settlements in the West Bank and East Jerusalem, Mr. Trump released a statement urging the U.S. to veto the resolution. And after a phone conversation with Mr. Trump yesterday, Egypt's president announced his country was postponing the vote, which they had proposed. Back at home, the Trump administration has also announced its communications team, naming Sean Spicer as White House press secretary. And last night on the Kelly File, Spicer said even with his communications team in place, Mr. Trump has no plans to step away from Twitter.
He has a direct pipeline to the American people to talk to them in a way that no one's done before. I think it's fascinating. It is absolutely fascinating, and it makes every day, every hour just unbelievable, because you know that you're having that conversation with the American people, and they can have it back with him, and he's not having to put everything through the filter of the mainstream media.
And the transition team already has a couple meetings scheduled for next week with some potential candidates to round out the final 2 spots in Mr. Trump's cabinet, including one for Secretary of Agriculture, Elsa Morano. Heather and Connell?
Yeah, almost there, filling that team. Garrett, thanks. Garrett Tenney in D.C.
You got it.
Well, now to some extreme weather. The U.S. in for a 1-2 punch as 2 monster storms hit right before Christmas, one slamming the west, another creeping toward the east.
Yeah, we have rained slick roads, making for treacherous travel in San Diego. As a matter of fact, police there reporting more than 200 crashes in less than 24 hours.
That doesn't look good. And holiday travelers feeling the effects of snow and rain. All those storms move across the country. Delays, cancellations, now piling up at airports.
So with that, Janice Dean, our senior meteorologist, tracking it all, and joins us now. Hey, Janice.
Yeah, let's take a look at it. A couple of storm systems, one moving across the Midwest with snow and ice and rain. This one is going to push across the East Coast. The next big system is the west. So as we get into Saturday, all of this mess goes across the East Coast. But the big weather maker that's going to bring snow and ice and even possibly tornadoes is across the west as we get into the Midwest. That could be accumulating icefall, and along the trailing cold front, severe storms, hail, damaging winds, and even tornadoes. A lot of snow for the skiers here up towards the upper Midwest, mainly rain over the Ohio and the Mississippi River Valley. For today, East Coast looks good. Midwest, we're going to see delays typically here, and then across the West Coast as this next storm system moves in. So east looks pretty good today. This is Friday. Heading into Saturday, not so great, though, for the East Coast. And then as we get into Chicago and Minneapolis, as well as Kansas City and San Francisco, you want to call ahead or at least check online because there will be delays, and they are going to cause a ripple effect across the country. Heather Connell, back to you.
Flying out to Charlotte after the show.
I'll keep you posted, sister.
Thank you.
Okay.
Personal weather reports right here. What are 20 minutes now? It's top of the hour.
And Ivanka Trump, we're going to tell you about this. She was attacked on a plane, confronted by a man who was angry about the election. This morning, some new video of the tables being turned.
Ready to go, man? Is it a bad idea to do it?
Haha. Coming up, what did he have to say for himself?
We're back with breaking news we've been following for you all morning. The suspect in the deadly Berlin Christmas market attack shot dead in Italy.
Anis Amri, and he was shot and killed in a shootout with the police officers in the Milan area. Brand new video that's come into Fox from the scene that you're looking at right now.
Yeah, Amri was killed in what we're being told was a routine traffic stop at a train station. Police asked him for his ID, and that's when he pulled out a gun from his backpack and opened fire, shooting at officers. Police firing back. One officer was hit, but is expected to be okay.
Now, the suspect, Amri, was believed to have spent several years in Italy, moved to Germany, originally from Tunisia, but the world's most wanted man is dead this morning.
Yep. Good news. Well, now to another Fox News alert for you. A disturbing attack on Ivanka Trump as she is berated on an airplane in front of her children.
Really was unbelievable, right? This unruly passenger demanding to know why the president-elect's daughter was flying coach on what he described as his flight.
Lots of people apparently disagree with that. Carly Shimkus with Fox News Headlines 24/7, Sirius XM 115. Here with what happened. Carly.
Good morning, guys. And the shocking incident happened at New York's JFK Airport yesterday morning. Brooklyn lawyer Dan Goldstein spotting Ivanka on his JetBlue flight and went off. He reportedly started screaming, "Your father is ruining the country," while holding his own child. He went on to say, "Why is she on our flight? She should be flying private." Passengers say he was even jeering at Ivanka's children while she tried to distract them with crayons. JetBlue employees swiftly moving in, tossing Goldstein's family off that flight. Now, this wasn't a heated moment of passion for the lawyer. An hour before his flight, his husband, Matthew Lassner, tweeting, "Ivanka and Jared at JFK Terminal 5 flying commercial. My husband chasing them down to harass them. Hashtag vanity of evil." Now, the booted couple was booked on the next flight to San Francisco. And when he had a chance to share their frustrations with TMZ, they froze up.
Can I just ask if you regretted it all, man? Is it a bad idea to do it in front of everyone's kids?
Now, once landing in California, Ivanka and her family were whisked away by Secret Service to a private jet bound for Hawaii. That flight was reportedly already planned and was not in response to the incident. Connell and Heather.
All right, Carly, thanks. Brian Kilmeade now, and what's coming up top of the hour on Fox and Friends. Morning, Brian.
Yeah.
How's it going, guys?
Doing good. You got to hang out with somebody pretty cool, I understand.
Right. You mean besides Stephen Ainsley?
Yeah,
I got a chance.
of course.
Right up to the show, I had a chance to run over and talk to Cardinal Dolan, and he for the last year we've been talking about doing some type of celebrity stroll where we walk around New York City with probably the most respected man in New York City, and that's Cardinal Dolan himself. Remember a couple of years ago when he entertained the Pope here? I talked to him about Christmas season, everything else, and his message. You'll see the feature shortly, but here's a clip.
At the darkest time of the year, at the time when we're tempted to be filled with doubt and discouragement, we're reminded that ultimately light trumps darkness. Goodness is going to have the last word over evil. That's a powerful Christmas message. We need it. We need a little Christmas.
We do. I'll have that story, and also why, sadly, we need a SWAT team inside St. Patrick's on Christmas Day because of the terrorist threats that are out there. So that's coming up, and we have a huge 3-hour show. I have no idea what Stephen Ainsley have planned or even what they're wearing.
I bet it's Christmassy, I have a feeling. Red or green?
Yes, absolutely.
It's Christmassy this morning. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Thanks, Brian.
guys.
We'll be right back.
been a crazy morning, so why not talk a little bit about Christmas movies? Maybe put us in the spirit a little bit, right? If you're thinking about going out to the movies with your family this weekend and not sure which one to spend your money on, well, here we go.
Yeah, founder of NerdTears.com, Kevin McCarthy, here with his top 5 movies that are in theaters right now.
All right.
All right, let us know.
Connell and Heather, good morning to you guys, and Merry Christmas to you guys, and I'm very excited to be on, and there's so many great films. This has been an amazing, amazing year for cinema, and I think I've seen well over 100 movies. These are the 5 best movies that are out right now that you can currently see. The first one, definitely Rogue One, a Star Wars story. This film is so satisfying for Star Wars fans. There's a 2-minute sequence at the end of this movie that is worth the entire price of admission that I would watch on a loop for 20 hours. It is so awesome. I was geeking out beyond belief. The action's fantastic. I did have a problem with a little bit of the middle section, but overall it is worthy of seeing if you're a Star Wars fan. Next up is this movie called Sing Street. Now, this is not available in theaters, but it's available on Netflix streaming. This is one of the best films I've seen in years. It's an Irish film about a young teenage boy who starts a band to impress a girl that he likes. And I'm telling you right now, this movie's going to end. You're going to have the biggest smile on your face, and all the songs, Drive It Like You Stole It, every single song in the movie, you're going to be singing and listening to the soundtrack over and over again. That movie is called Sing Street, from the director of the movie Once. Next up is the movie Moana. This is the animated Disney film starring The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. You have Jermaine Clements. You have Lin-Manuel Miranda doing the music. This is not as great as Zootopia or other Disney films earlier this year, but I do think it works from a musical standpoint. The music is fantastic, and the CG for the animation is fantastic as well. It's a beautiful looking movie, great messages, and I do recommend it for the family, but see it in 2D. Save yourself the extra $3 per ticket for a 3D ticket. Next up is Arrival. I've seen this film twice now. I cannot tell you that my brain has still been dissecting this ending over a month and a half later. It is a phenomenal movie by Denis Villeneuve, the director, who also did Sicario as well as Prisoners. And it's a film that will blow your mind beyond belief. And Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner are phenomenal. The ending will stay with you, and you won't really dissect it until a week or 2 later. That's when it will blow your mind. I gave that movie a 5 out of 5. And then finally, the best movie out right now to see in theaters is La La Land. This film is incredible from every standpoint: filmmaking, music, singing, dancing. Emma Stone's incredible, as well as Ryan Gosling. A 31-year-old director directed this movie named Damien Chazelle. And I guarantee you right now, it will win Best Picture at the Oscars this year.
That's a great list. One thing stood out to me. I'm not a big Star Wars guy, for better or worse. But the second one you talked about, the Irish film, the Netflix one, you don't have to leave the house, number one. And Sing Street, he says, is a great movie. So I'm there.
I want to hear the song Drive It Like You Stole It.
That's right.
Yes, that song is amazing. When this segment is over, go listen to it. It is phenomenal. I'm telling you right now, that movie's going to put the biggest smile on your face. It's called Sing Street. Sing Street. It's amazing.
Netflix. We're all over it.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
Good stuff.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
You too. About 6 minutes to the hour now. Fox News Alert reports now of a hijacking that is happening right now. Another breaking story from overseas. We are going to come back with all the details on what we know about this story. It's just breaking.
Yeah, a very big story there. Lots of breaking news. Also breaking just moments ago, the man who plowed a truck through a Berlin Christmas market shot dead. The latest breaking details next. Hijackers reportedly taking control of a flight, and they are threatening to blow it up. This is happening on the island of Malta.
We've just been learning about this in the last few minutes. The Prime Minister said a flight from Libya was diverted to the country, Malta, located off the coast of Italy, and security officials have rushed there to the scene. So as far as we know right now, everybody's on standby. The hijackers' demands, such as they may be, are not yet known to us. So
it was an internal Libyan flight. We're told that it was an A320 and 118 people on board that flight. So we'll bring you the latest details on that as they come in.
Well, it's just another story on top of what has been a crazy day.
Yeah, and recapping Two of those other huge stories breaking overnight. The suspected terrorist wanted in the Berlin Christmas massacre, Christmas market massacre, has been shot and killed in Italy. Now, he was wanted for killing 12 innocent people, injuring many others earlier this week.
Right. So United Airlines plane is also grounded. Fears someone was hiding in the cargo hold. So you add that to the breaking story from overseas as well. People on board complaining about strange noises an hour into that flight. So it forced the pilot of the plane to turn around, get back to Houston. No one was found, by the way. United later called the noises a maintenance issue. So,
yeah.
You know, man, it's one of those mornings you wake up and you say, hey, is anything going on? And it's almost too much going on.
That. Yeah, and on top of all that, a news conference going on by President Putin there in Russia with some new information. But once again, this is the big news. The suspect involved in the Berlin Christmas market attack has been shot and killed in Milan, Italy. 24-year-old Anis Amri is dead, without a doubt, the Interior Minister saying there.
That's exactly how I phrased it in the news conference. All right, Fox and Friends starts right now.
And have a Merry Christmas, everybody.
That's right.
It is 6 o'clock here in New York City, and we start with some breaking news. There are reports an airplane, a jetliner, a Libyan flight, on its way to Tripoli was possibly hijacked, at least that's what it sounds like, has been diverted to Malta. It has landed there safely. Security and emergency crews are currently standing by.
Here's what we know. It's an Airbus, an A320 with 118 people on board that plane. Maltese media is reporting that two hijackers on the flight threatened to blow up the plane.
All right, their demands not known yet. We're keeping a close eye on this. We know it's the Wild West in Libya, and we'll keep you posted on as we get more information. This is how I thought we were going to alert the show with this Fox News alert.
We also have another Fox News alert breaking right now. The suspected terrorist wanted in the Berlin Christmas market massacre just shot and killed in Italy.
This comes amid a brand new ISIS holiday kill list. The targets, churches, all across the country here in the United States of America.
Now, Conal McShane, you saw him 90 seconds ago, is here with the breaking details. He's been following this throughout the morning along with Heather on both these stories. Conal,
good morning, guys. Boy, crazy morning. The worldwide manhunt for this Tunisian terrorist accused of mowing down innocent people is over. That has been confirmed. Anis Amri, overnight, shot and killed.